few things. Just need to share with you here for a few minutes. And I want to take this time. We're actually live also online. And so if you're tuning in with us online, guys, welcome. Hey, thanks for clicking. All right. Glad you're here with us. And hope we're doing well. And isn't that barbecue good? Isn't that good stuff? If you're online, sorry. I don't know what else to say. Austin's Barbecue catered for us tonight. If you're looking for a good place to go grab some barbecue, they're over by Addison Airport in Addison. Fairly new, I think a year, maybe less. They've been operating. But great food, great service, solid people over there. So just give a shout out to Austin's Barbecue. I do have a few announcements I want to run through. First of all, hey guys, this is our fall kickoff. Okay, so every year around this time we do this barbecue, and the purpose is to kick off our men's ministry for the fall. And we have a lot of men's small groups that are meeting. We have new groups, we have new leaders that are forming, and we'll be meeting in the fall. And as usual, Darren Kinder, he leads the whole small group aspect of our men's ministry. So if you have questions and you want to get connected into a men's small group, you can contact him. There's his email right there, and he will get you connected, okay? And I think there's a typo there. It should be D. Kinder. D. Kinder 127, okay? D. Kinder. And he'll help you get connected, all right? Listen, guys, I can't talk strongly enough about this. Darren would have been here. He would have been the one talking about men's small groups, but he got a call and had to head to El Paso with work this week. So, but I can't tell you how important it is for men to be connected with other guys in a small group, talking live, getting in the Word together, praying together, encouraging one another, and sharpening one another. If you're not in a group, please connect with us and let us help you get in that group. Well, how do you do that? Well, you have a contact card, first off, right there on your table. You can fill out that contact card, give us that information, let us know you want to be in a men's small group. There's even some different options, time options there. We have some groups meeting on Wednesday nights right here at the church. We have some meeting in the mornings, in the evenings, and other times during the day at different places, okay? So if you're interested in that, fill that card out and leave it on your table, and myself, Norb Heindel, Norb, raise your hand. Matt Bainham, raise your hand. Matt is right there. These guys are part of our men's leadership team, along with Steve Starr. Steve, raise your hand there. Anybody else on the men's leadership team? Okay, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Suck it up if I do. This is a men's barbecue thing. Okay, it's going to be too cushy. But special thanks to our men's leadership team, guys. We do a lot of talking throughout the year. We do a lot of praying and a lot of planning on how to best what to provide for men throughout the course of the year, things like that. So, it's a great group of guys. So, men's breakfast. If you haven't been joining our men's breakfast, they've been fantastic. We've been hanging out at Frankfurt Park, right up Hillcrest in Frankfurt on the basketball court. We have a great breakfast together, and we have just someone who brings a devotion or a challenge to us. We're going to do it again on October the 3rd. The only difference is we're going to be right here at DBC on October the 3rd at 7:30 a.m. It's a Saturday morning, okay? And so you'll be getting emails about that. Also, if you're not getting email from me, that means I don't have your email. Okay, so fill out that contact card and put your email, and then just make a little note, add me to your list, or something like that, so we can make sure that you're getting information regarding our men's ministry, okay? I'm going to invite Jeff Mousa. Jeff Mousa is our executive pastor here at Dallas Bible, and he's going to just talk briefly about our regathering plans as a church coming up here in just a couple of weeks. So, Jeff, here you go.
All right, Vanna, we appreciate it. We're doing really well. We have announced, Aaron, you heard Aaron announce it on Sunday. We are planning to regather on September the 13th. That's the week after Labor Day. So, yes, we're excited for it. We will be doing some of our normal social distancing and our masks and all the fun worship and edification through the Word of God, as well as just relationships to be formed. So you heard even Brian mention, we already have been gathering. We just gathered like this tonight. We've been gathering with our youth, playing sand volleyball, and for men's small groups. That's another way for you to gather. Okay? We want you to pick something. Right now, you and your families, you need gathering in some form. You need to connect, you need to get in community, and you need to be cared for. So prioritize that. Prioritize it for your family. If you have a youth, encourage them to be a part of the youth. For your wife, the women's Bible studies, encourage her to gather with the women's Bible studies. For yourself, the men's small groups, do that. For our Sunday services, if you can bring your family and you're comfortable doing that, plan to do that. From now through December, as you face and you're managing your family's isolation, loneliness, stress, decisions, do not forget to connect, to be in community, and to be cared for. That's what we want to see happen. We have some of these yard signs. You're more than welcome to pick them up because some of you are Pac-10 fans or Big Ten fans, and you can't put out your team's flag, and you can't put out any of the sports you get for. Some of us ACC guys, I think I'm the only ACC guy in the room. Some of you are Big 12. Way to go, Texas. Way to convince everyone in the Big 12 to continue to play. And I know all you SEC guys hope to hit the championship again. So as long as we beat Notre Dame, we'll be right there with you. But since you can't put your sports sign out, put a church sign out. Or put a boat out. Because we want people to know that our church is gathering together again. If you have questions or looking to serve in different ways of how you can be plugged in, just come find me after the event. I'm going to be hanging around for a while.
Is there a max number for Sunday that you do?
125.
Per service?
Per service.
Per service, okay. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for sharing that. Hey, if you live in an apartment, just take the sign without the metal piece, and you can just stick it in your little thing there, or whatever that's called. Window, yeah. Windows. That's what those things are called. Okay. All right, guys. We're going to have a little fun here. We're going to have a little trivia. We're going to have a little competition. I need a couple of volunteers. Don't be shy. I will call you out. Okay. Mike, come on. I told you I'd call you out. Steve, come on. Steve Starr?
I was pointing at him.
No, come on. That's because you were pointing at somebody else. I'm calling you out here. All right. There you go. So don't point at other people. Okay, the question's going to be up here in just a second. The first guy that can give me the correct answer is the winner. Okay? So here it is. How many baseballs are used in a Major League Baseball game? Now, on this one, I'm going to allow for the closest. The closest, okay? Don't think real hard about it. Just give me an answer. What do you think it is, Steve?
Quantity of baseballs?
Read the question. How many baseballs are used in it? Don't complicate it, Steve, okay? Yes. Mike, you have an answer?
182.
182.
$1.
Oh, my God. Steve, I'm going to ask you that you're 215, and you said 180. The correct answer is, actually, it's a range, and so I went with the bottom of the range, and it's 96. 96. It's actually 96 to 122 baseballs a game, okay? So, Mike, you're the winner. Hey, here you go, Mike. There's your Dallas Bible hat there for you. So, wear that well. Okay. Okay, I need 2 more volunteers. Let me have a couple more volunteers. Okay? All right. Seriously? Seriously? No volunteers? Aaron, call 2 guys out.
Come on, Bart.
Bart, come on, Bart.
Aaron's pointing. In there, man.
Bart and Roland. Okay, here we go. All right, here's the question, guys. Ready? 96. How many teams played in the inaugural season of the NFL? Now, you have options. Okay, 9. There's your answer. What's your answer, Bart? 7? The correct answer is 14. All right, so Roland, you're the winner, man. There you go. Have yourself Dallas Bible. Good job, Bart. Well done. Okay. All right, I'll give you 2 more volunteers. They're not all, yeah, we got a range. We got some hockey in here in just a second, some non-sports questions, but give me a couple more volunteers. Ready? Okay, come on, Calhoun. Scott, Bob, come on. All right. That's right, it's right by. I'm sorry. Okay. All right, ready? Y'all ready to see your question? What was the former name of the Chicago Bears? The former name of the Chicago Bears. Chicago Beers. Okay, all right. That's a good guess. Bob, what do you think? You want to take a stab at it?
Go, Bobby.
I just remember Monsters of the Midway nickname, but I don't think that was.
I think it's final answer is
Uniforms. Okay, here we go. The correct answer is the Chicago Staleys. The Chicago Staleys. I know, right? Here, both of you get a hat. Okay, go on that. Chicago Staleys. Not early. Okay, a couple more volunteers? Nord? No? Okay, all right, good. Come on, let me have somebody else. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pick on Marty. Paris, come on, Marty. Here we go. Here's your question. What's your name?
Mark.
Hey, Mark. Let's see, man. Who is the oldest minister on staff at Dallas Bible? The oldest minister. Brian Runboss, that's your answer? Okay. Oh, well, hold on. Don Moody it is. Okay. Don Moody, our preschool minister. If he weren't the chairman of our elders, I would have responded differently. She's not the oldest by much. You're right, Marty. I'm right behind her. Okay, here we go. Let me have. Come on. All right. Give me two volunteers. Let me have. I'm just going to call it Joel. Joel, come on up here. I'm sorry, dude. I was just pointing at you, man. So, and let me have Chris Essen. Chris, come on up here. And let's see how you guys do on this one. Okay, you ready for your question? This is kind of a speed one, so you got to be ready to answer pretty quick. If you think you know. The answers aren't there, Joel. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Ready? Who is Aaron Armstrong's favorite college football player? All right. Sorry. Hey, if you're wondering, hey, why didn't you give multiple hats out to the other guys? You know, well, because some of those were like multiple choice things. So go, hey, okay? I think, is that the last one? Oh, yeah. Hey, all right. Well, hey, guys, listen, we're super excited tonight to have Wade Hopkins here with us. And this is Wade. And actually, it's not. Okay? I just when I googled images and I put in Wade Hopkins, this is what came up. So I thought, there you go, Wade. You get some gym time in Florida. Hey, if this guy's related to any of you guys, I'm sorry. Okay? Okay, here we go. All right, I'm super excited to introduce Wade Hopkins. He's a good friend of mine. Wade and I, we go way back to the mid-'90s, actually. We were reminiscing a little bit about that earlier. When we met at a youth event, I was doing youth ministry down in the League City area, and he was helping out at a church in the Baytown area, and we connected at this event. And then we just developed a friendship, and then we, over time, we ended up in the same church together in the Woodlands, where I served as a youth minister for a little over 10 years, and he was an active part, is an active part of that church and the ministry there. He's been married to his bride there, Julie, for, put my glasses on here for a second, 26 years. And he's the father of Grace Ann, Bethany, and Bonnie. So there's his family there. I didn't get the dog's name, sorry. Piper? Piper, okay, Piper. Wade has served faithfully on staff with FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, for 23 years. He is currently serving as a the Gulf Coast Director, okay, which I believe includes everything within the Gulf Coast. And previously he was Vice President of the Southwest region, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Latin America. He spent 5 years in professional football. Out of college, he signed with the Houston Oilers. And then he went on to play with the New England Patriots and spent a little time with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Canadian Football League, and some time in the Arena Football League with the Texas Terror. He was a wide receiver. He went to Southwest Baptist University of Bolivar, Missouri. That's where you'll hear him share a little bit, but that's where he gave his life to Christ. He was an All-American wide receiver and graduated there with a BS in mathematics. And he, in 2000, this is an honor and a privilege, he was inducted into the Southwest Baptist University Sports Hall of Fame. And so, would you do me a favor, guys, and welcome a good friend of mine in ministry, good friend of mine, just period, Wade Hopkins, as he comes and shares some with us.
It is so good to be here. Yeah, my wife's from Kentucky. I grew up in Pasadena, Texas, which is just right there in Houston. Blew my knee out first day of my senior year. So the only school to offer me a scholarship was this school, Southwest Baptist University in Bolivar, Missouri. I remember the coach coming down, came to Sam Rayburn High School. Any Texans? Sam Rayburn High School, Texas? Anybody from Pasadena? Okay. So he comes in and says, "Hey, we want to offer you a scholarship." I said, "Great." He said, "We're from Southwest Baptist University. You ever heard of us?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Well, you know where Bolivar, Missouri is?" I said, "No, sir." He looked at me like, "You know where Missouri is, right?" I said, "It's north of Texas. That's about all I know." But it didn't matter. I just wanted to play football. Didn't know what Baptist was. Didn't care. Just wanted to play football. Praise the Lord for a school who used sports as a tool to share the gospel. Knucklehead like me, give me an opportunity. That coach ended up showing me what it meant to be a godly man and a husband. Invited me to this thing called SCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I gave my life to Christ in college. I go back to Houston. I think, I guess I should probably join a church, right? And that's where Brian and I kind of connect. But that's what the Holy Spirit does. He does a work in your life, and He doesn't leave you alone. And wherever you go, He's connecting you with people that can help. So I'm excited to be here. Thanks for what you do. Football was a big part of my life, and so I'm glad to serve with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. But I don't play football anymore. And I got into track. Who runs a little track? Anybody love track? Hey! So track, so master's track. It's code for old man track. Master's track. I got involved. My twin daughters ran college track, so we ran together and did some stuff and just loved it. It was amazing. So I hated this summer because we missed the Olympics, right? It is kind of a cool logo, though, 2021. That's kind of cool. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about? 2020, that spells the word one. What a rough crowd. I'm talking about. But we missed the Olympics this year. I remember exactly where I was last Olympics. I was sitting on the couch with my daughters. We were watching the 4x1, the men's 400 meter relay. I want to say relay. Their state champion relay. Hey, 400 meter run. The men's 400 meters. I remember watching it because my daughters are sprinters. They run the 400. Old man, I run 400. So 400 is a big deal. We want to run the 400. We're watching it. The American is in lane 4, former gold medalist. The current gold medalist from the last Olympics is in lane 5 from the Bahamas. And then Wade Van Niekerk is in lane 8 from South Africa. Now, if you know anything about track, lane 4 and lane 5 are the money lanes, right? Those are the lanes that the fastest qualifying times get. Because you don't have to run as sharp a curve. You know, at lane 1, the curve's so sharp, I mean, it's a disadvantage, right? Lane 8, because we're talking about staggers, right? Lane 8's way out front. You don't get to see anybody, so that's kind of a disadvantage. So lane 4 and 5 are the money lanes. The best people are in 4 and 5. 1 and 8 are the least former gold medalist in the 400 meters, so that's going to be the race. So they start the race out staggers, right? And it seems like lane 8, 7, 6, that they're way out front, but by the time they come off the curve, lane 4 and 5 are always winning. So we're watching this, the girls are fired up. I'm ready to roll. I'm taking notes because old man's track, I'm trying to figure out, hey, I can stay with these guys. So Wade Van Niekerk, they blow the gun, lane 8, takes off. Which isn't totally unusual because the dude in lane 8 always takes off because they're just giving it because they don't have the fastest time. They're just hoping to take off and hang on. So not totally shocked that he's taking off. Well, lane 4 and 5, they come off the first curve and they're running. The announcers say, here we go, the American, and they're giving it down the back stretch. But then he said, hey, Van Niekerk's running pretty good still, right? So they go into that last curve. Everyone's expecting 4 and 5 to come off the curve in front. Wade Van Niekerk comes off the curve 5 meters out. I mean, he's still rolling. Now the guys start getting excited. Wade Van Niekerk right now, oh my goodness, he's off the curve. I'm not sure they're going to catch him. And he just leaves them. The former gold medalist, the last 2 winners, best qualifying times, Wade Van Niekerk, lane 8, not only wins the gold medal for the first time in history from lane 8, no one's ever won a gold medal in lane 8, sets the world record. Michael Johnson, shatters it like crazy. Lane 8. I'm watching this going, oh my goodness. And now I'm taking notes because what a message that is. Think about this for a second, man. He never saw his competition. You wouldn't think that'd be such a big deal, but it's never happened before. They put you in lane 4 and 5, not only because you don't have the curves, but you're in the heat of it. You're in the middle of it. And when you watch people run, they kind of start gauging themselves, right? When they're running, okay, this guy's out, they're not here, they're not catching you yet. You can kind of gauge what you do. I came to challenge us tonight to not gauge what we do. Because whenever you run to the level of your competition, you lose. And why in the world would we want to live to the level of our culture? Why would he want to run to the level of his competition? He was in lane 8. How many 400 meters do you think he ran over the course of his life? Thousands? Do you think he has a coach? He's got a great coach. Do you think he has a plan? They know exactly what they're doing. I mean, I'm a nobody from nowhere. And I've taught my daughters, hey, you come out the box, you go 60 meters because free energy, 3 seconds. I mean, you get down the back curve, you just start floating. You never slow down, but you just start floating, relax a little bit. You get in that back curve, you start getting your arms back. I mean, you got a plan. At least they're thinking about something when they're dying versus just dying, right? I mean, but they got a plan. He had a plan. Listen, he never saw his competition. Great disadvantage. But you don't need to when you know who you are. Run your race. You never accomplish your goals. You never are successful. And you never give your best. And you never honor God. Running to the level of your competition. Playing at the level of your competition. Living at the level of the culture. You want to accomplish what God has for you. It freaks me out sometimes watching sports, especially when we're watching, a team that's far superior. You hear the announcers all the time, this is a hump week. They had this big win, and now they're playing the worst team in the league, and the worst team beats them. How does that happen? Because we don't get locked in on who God created us to be. We don't run like we're in lane 8. I love that. I hope I never forget that. He did what his coach told him to do. He trained his tail off. He was focused. He didn't have to see anybody. He gave the absolute best he had and left the results to God. First time in ever. First time in history, someone won from lane 8. I came to challenge us, man. We got to get locked in and focused on who God's called us to be. Our country's in desperate need. We got more churches than ever before. We got bigger churches than ever before. And we got the biggest problems ever before, too. And I'm just going to challenge us as men. It starts right here in this room. Jesus said he wasn't praying for the world. He was praying for his people who God given him. It starts with us as men to lead this country. And it starts with us as godly men to lead this country. So we can't go very far than this room. God's looking right at us. Not our neighbors who are hellions, my neighbor. Not all the world and the craziness that's going on. He's looking at us, his people, who are called by his name. If we'll do something, he said he'll hear it. It's about us. So I got a verse we're going to talk about tonight. The prayer of a righteous man is powerful and effective. Now, I'm with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and so I'm always using sports and stuff. So I just been thinking about this. The prayer of a righteous man is powerful and effective. Powerful and effective. What's effective? You know, and so I started thinking about athletes and how powerful and effective. How you effective? So let's just go with our track analogy again. I think you got to be effective before you can be powerful. Hear me out. I think you got to be effective. If you don't show up to the race, you're not effective. You're not going to get the results you want. Effectiveness means you got the results you want. So if you don't show up, if Wade doesn't show up, he's DQ. He's not effective. He can be the most powerful sprinter in the world, which he is. Not in the 100, that's Usain Bolt. But in the 400. But he's not effective if he doesn't show up. If you false start, you're not effective. That same Olympics, 400-meter hurdles. 31-year-old dude, don't know him, forgot his name. False start. That second gun's never good. That means someone took off too early. Tried to get an advantage. Lane 3, 31-year-old man crying like a baby. Last chance. And he didn't even get a chance to compete. Not effective. I don't know how powerful he was because he didn't even get a chance. Not effective. If you don't pass the baton in the zone, DQ. The American men's 4x1 is not very effective. I don't know the last time we've been on the podium. But that last Olympics, Usain Bolt won it. I mean, that dude was just dominated. Jamaica dominated, won the gold, set the world record. But we were bronze medalists. Gatlin, Gay, I mean, we're bronze medalists. Until they watched the film. DQ for a handoff. Gatlin got it before the zone. So we weren't bronze medalists. So effective. You got to be effective, men, before you can be powerful. I think of powerful for an athlete. I'm thinking committed. I'm thinking attitude. I'm thinking consistency. I'm thinking work ethic, right? All those things that you want to hire, right? That's what I'm thinking about powerful. When you're powerful, when you show up, you give all you have. Genetics, attitude, all that, right? That's powerful. But you got to be effective. You got to show up and do what you got to do to accomplish the goal at hand. So now what am I talking about? The prayer of a righteous man is powerful and effective. And I came to tell you, we have to be effective as men before we can be powerful. Before we can display the power of God that lives in our lives, we've got to be effective. There are 3 things that you have to do at least. I'm sure there's more, and we'll let Pastor tell us that. But there's at least 3 things that you have to do to be effective before you can ever be powerful in prayer. I like to call it, you got to be positioned in prayer. You know what the first thing is? The Bible says you got to love your wife as Christ loved the church. If you don't live, the Bible says, live with your life in a considerate way that your prayers will not be hindered. Did you hear that? Maybe for the first time? Hold on. What? God says what? Hey, listen. God hears every prayer. Did you hear that? You're only one prayer away. I might be talking to someone tonight. You're only one prayer away from transforming your entire life and a generation. I grew up in a divorced home. I didn't see my dad for 35 years. The only reason I saw him is I got on a plane about 7 years ago and flew to Dundee, Scotland. Looked at him, told him I loved him, spent about 36 hours with him, and left. And he still won't talk to me. He's not calling me, not emailing me, nothing. I just wanted to let him know I loved him. You're only one prayer away. I changed the generation. My girls love Christ. They didn't grow up in the same father, with the same father that they didn't grow up in the same kind of house. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm a different father today. God's only one prayer away from transforming your whole family tree. So he hears everything. You listening? He hears everything. But he doesn't respond to every prayer. The Bible says if you don't live with your life in such a way, your prayers will be hindered. And we can just read through the Old Testament and see where God, oh, you want to do this? Okay, I'm going to step away for a little bit. We can see all that through Scripture. God hears every prayer. Please hear my heart. He's with us 100% of the time. And you're only one repentant heart. Boom! He's all over you like a sloppy wet kiss, right? Okay. Listen. You gotta love your wife like Christ loved the church. That's the first thing to being effective. Number two, you have got to, I like that when I was thinking about this, Brian, too. The second thing you've got to do, love your wife as Christ loved the church. The second thing you have to do is, if you have any known sin in your life, you got to confess it. Known sin. We all blow it all the time. And as soon as you're aware of it, you need to make it right. But if you have any known sin in your life, the Bible says, as I've already mentioned, God is talking to his people. If my people, who are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and confess and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven. If we have any known sin in our life, man, we got to make it right. We got to confess it. That doesn't honor God. He doesn't bless that. Are you positioned in prayer? Are you being effective? The prayer of a righteous man is powerful and effective. And then lastly, if you're going to bring something to the Lord, if you think you're going to do something good for him, and I'm going to write a check, or I'm going to come to this deal, I'm going to do something, and he said, hold on. If you're going to come bring me some sacrifice, and you remember what you just did to your coworker, or what you just did to so-and-so, you just lay it down for a second and go make it right. Then come back, and I'll receive it. We got to live at peace with others, as much as it depends on us. That's why I went to see my dad. He would have never talked to me. I don't know why. I was a punk kid when he left. It had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with he's an alcoholic. He's going to die. I just wanted him to know that I loved him and didn't hold anything against him. He still thinks I'm trying to get money from him, pass child support or something. You kidding me? Effective. So if we want our prayers to be powerful and effective, we've got to be positioned. If any of those things aren't right, I'm going to encourage you as soon as you leave here to do something. Make a phone call, do something. Maybe right here tonight we're going to do something. I don't know. But we can't be powerful until we're positioned to be effective. Because then the power of God can reign in our lives. Like I said, we're one prayer away from the same power that raised Christ from the dead living through us in an amazing way. He wants to unleash it. We gotta be in position to do that. So effective. So the prayer of a righteous man. So wait, tell me how to be righteous. Righteousness. Let's go to Psalm 1. Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked, or stand in the way of sinners, or sit in the seat of mockers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord. And on his law he meditates day and night. I love this. He is like a tree. He won't be like one. He is like a tree. The minute you trust in Christ, the minute you turn to him, you're like a tree. He is like a tree planted by streams of water, who yields its fruit in season, whose leaf never withers. Everything he does prospers. You want to be a righteous man? You want the power of God? Meditate on God's word. Plant yourself in God's word. That's how to be a powerful man of God. Plant yourself in God's word. You see, I'm sitting on the back porch of a lake house doing a little personal spiritual retreat about this time last summer. And God just gave me these words that I'm about to tell you. Your most valuable purpose, he said, Wade, your most valuable purpose is to love me with all your heart. If anyone in here wants to know the purpose God has for you, I just told you. Did you hear that? The purpose God has for you is that you love him with all your heart. That you seek him with a passion. That you would plant yourself right in the middle of what he wants to do in and through your life. That's the most valuable purpose you can give your life to, is to know and trust Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. I hope you believe that. The most important thing about you, listen, I don't even know you, but I'm telling you, the most important thing about you is what you believe about God. Because if you don't believe God, you're going to believe whatever else someone's telling you. There is a thing called truth, regardless of what anyone says. And he's a person. He said, I am the way and the truth and the life. Your most valuable purpose is to know and trust Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Listen, there's a lot competing for your time now. Are you listening to this? I'm almost certain Josh McDowell has done the study, so we can go correct me if I'm wrong. 8 out of 10 pastors have an addiction to pornography. 9 out of 10 men have an addiction to pornography. It's a big number. Whatever it is, I had to go, what? And I couldn't rewind the radio. So much so that right now, what I do when I hire people, I assume. I'm praying for my daughters. I'm assuming whoever comes asking me about them, I'm going to have this conversation with them. You listening? Anyone who hires people, this is great. You can write this down. Hey, tell me your relationship with pornography. I just asked that question. Tell me your relationship with pornography. Now, if they look at me crazy, I'll add, hey, my relationship, I'm scared out of my mind. That's my relationship with pornography. I'm scared out of my mind. I've never looked at it. I don't want to start. Our relationship, I'm scared, and I have things into my life. I got accountability partners. I got things on my phone. My daughter this morning said, hey, did you look at so-and-so on YouTube? Because somehow our YouTube things are connected in my phones. I'm praising God for that. That's going to keep me straight. She said, I saw that song you were listening to. It's a worship song. I do that in my quiet time sometimes. But my point is, I've got things in place to keep my eyes pure. What's your relationship with pornography? I'm telling you, listening, I've asked that to youth pastors. I've asked that to potential staffers, fellowship of Christian athletes. I haven't had one person say, oh, I've never seen it. 100%. You listening? 100%. Man, I had to deal with that a couple of years ago. Man, I just got set free from that last year. Gosh, I was struggling all through high school. 100%. I had nobody say, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Not one. No one's even tried to lie to me. They just tell me. The point is, men, if we're going to be powerful men of God, we've got to say no to the culture. We've got to run our race. We're in lane 8. Who cares what's going on around us? We're running so fast, we're going to set the world record. Those dudes are losers. We're rolling. Why would I look back? I don't care where they are. I'm rolling to the prize that God's called me to. That's the kind of men we need to be. Let's stop playing to the level of our competition. Let's stop trying to be better than that dude. What? That dude's crazy. How about trying to be like Christ? The most valuable purpose in your life is to know and trust Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. Driving up here from Houston to Dallas, I pass it every time. Thing on the side of the road. What's it called? Sam Houston for sure. This is a men's club. What's it called? Anybody know? I see the Lions Den. It's a men's deal. We got barbecue. we got barbecue. We're men. We're lions. Yeah, that sounds great. It really does. It sounds powerful. Be a lion. You know what the truth is? You are a sheep headed to the slaughter as you walk into that place. You see how messed up our world is? You see how the enemy has changed this thing? Lions den. Be a man. You're not a man. Your life is teetering on a thin line walking into that place. It's like a deer walking into a lion's cave. We would all say, don't go. But men are probably taking their buddies with them. The crazy ones are probably taking their sons with them. I'm making this up, but it's crazy. The lion's den. And I just came to challenge us. Your most valuable purpose is to know and trust Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and to serve Him with your whole heart. Don't run to the level of your competition. Number two, your most valuable priority, you listening? Your most valuable priority is to love your wife. I believe in my heart of hearts, if I love my wife and I lead my children, when I get to heaven, God's going to say, well done, good and faithful servant. It's not going to be because I spent 23 years with FCA. It's not going to be because I've seen hundreds of people come to Christ, or that I've equipped thousands of coaches, just like my head coach, to be a missionary on a campus to reach a generation. It's not going to be because of any of that. It's going to be because I loved who He gave me. Your most valuable priority is to love your wife and lead your children. And I know there could be some things in here that have already happened. Hey, there is no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Just grow where you're planted right now. Bloom like the most beautiful rose right now. The old is gone, the new has come. I don't know where you come from. I don't know what you've experienced. I'm just talking to you right now. Nobody cares about yesterday. And just like we can't play to the level of our competition, you are who you are because of your past. But your past, you cannot let it dictate your future. I'm a product of a broken home. There's no shame in that. But I'm going to be different. As much as it depends on me, I'm going to be different. So I don't know where you are today. There's no condemnation. Grow where you're playing right now. Bloom. God has a purpose for you. Today. Can't do anything about yesterday. So the most valuable priority for us is to love those God's given us. Don't go to Africa. Listen to me now. We don't need world missions. What would happen if we just transformed our home? What if every godly man transformed his home? Our country would look different. The world would look different. Let's stop going and doing and do right where we are. As I came on staff with FCA, someone looked me straight in the face and said, Wade, make sure those who know you best respect you most. What he was telling me is don't go save the world and lose your family. That's what he was telling me. Don't miss out on the number one priority. Your family. Your most valuable priority. Love your wife. And lastly, your most valuable pursuit. Your most valuable pursuit is to shine like a light before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father who's in heaven. Let's go shine like a light, men. How much more than right now does this culture need for godly men to stand up and shine like a light? When they are so desperate and in need, someone's looking for someone to make a decision. Let's stand up and be decision makers. Let's stand up and say, hey, what is it about that dude? Let's shine like a light. Whether it's in politics, whether it's as a CEO, whether it's in the church, whatever it is, wherever God's called you to, your most valuable pursuit is to go make a difference in this culture. just came to encourage us tonight. We can make a difference, man. This whole fatherless society stuff, 80% of inmates grew up in a fatherless home. 70% of suicides from a fatherless home. 70% of high school dropouts from a fatherless home. May it never be said again. Let's not run out, man. Let's stand up. I want to encourage us. The prayer of a righteous man is powerful and effective. Have you planted yourself by streams of water? You'll be like a tree that bears its fruit in season, whose leaf never withers. Like times like this, our leaves should be withered because we got that deep, long root into some water. We should still be bearing fruit, even in the midst of this fire stuff. Whatever they do prospers. Not so the wicked. Psalm 1 continues on. They're like chaff that the wind blows away. Did you hear that? Jesus says it like this. I'm the good shepherd. The shepherd lays down his life for his sheep. You listening? John 10:11. Not so the hired hand. The hired hand, when a wolf comes, runs away and allows the sheep to be scattered. That's how Jesus says it. So Psalm 1 says, be a mighty oak of righteousness on display for his splendor. Don't be a tumbleweed. Don't go where the wind blows. Steady yourself so that all those who count on you have shade. And then Jesus says it like this. I'm the shepherd. He's the hired hand. You see, you're mine. And when you're mine, I don't leave you alone. If I give you money to do this, I understand why you run away because it's not worth it. You just want the money. We're not hired hands, man. When a wolf comes along, we don't get scared. We stand our ground for those we love, for the country we serve. Your most valuable purpose, love the Lord with all your heart. Your most valuable priority, love your wife, is Christ love the church. Lead your family. Your most valuable pursuit, shine like a light before men. May all who come in your influence know who you stand for and what you believe. Let's get real for a second. We're all busy. We all have stuff going on. I'm not talking about, Brian just threw out some men's opportunities. We're all busy. We all have the same amount of time. I'm not talking about time management here. Y'all are amazing time managers. In my life, I look back, when I was playing football, that dominated my decision-making process. If I was going to get a part-time job in the off-season as a college athlete, in the off-season, it was always wrapped around my training schedule, not vice versa. Football training and pursuit of that goal always drove that. In your business, I'm sure P&L drives, how do we maximize profits? How do we minimize losses? Something's always driving. What's driving our spiritual growth? We don't need another class just to get more information. We need each other to do what we already know what to do. True story, you listening? And I'm done in 1 minute. I'm walking with a dude. This was several years ago. After walking for a long time, he's wanting to divorce his wife. He's wanting to leave his kids. And and he's a good friend. So we're walking, and every week we're meeting. And finally, I get a phone call on my way to meet with him. I go into his office. I look him in the eye. I sit down. I say, "Hey, how we doing? What's going on?" "Oh man, I'm doing good." I said, "No, you're not. think that's what he told me to tell him.
He wants you to read one verse and do it. Love your wife. That dude was married and he signed up on some dating app. And I got a phone call from somebody who just got connected with him. That knew he was married. That guy, to everything I know, has a relationship with the Lord. Now, he's lost as a goose right now. He's walking away a little bit. But my point is, he knows stuff. He's just not doing stuff. The right stuff. So, man, I came to challenge this. This is a priority management deal, not a time management. God doesn't need you reading more. He needs you doing more. And you don't do more. When I say do more, it means actually with walking with men to apply what he's already put on your heart. Application. Always love, I think Tony Evans maybe said it, 50,000 people are sitting in the stadium watching 11 dudes in the offensive huddle, and when they break the huddle, they're just looking to see whatever they talked about, will it impact the game. You see, the world's waiting. We're in this huddle right now. When we break, is what we did here going to impact the game? We know a lot of stuff already. And I study my Bible every morning. I'm not saying don't study your Bible. But I need someone walking with me to challenge me in what I already know what to do, make sure I'm doing it. So I came to encourage us tonight, man. It's about priority management. What are our priorities? What are our priorities? We manage our time well. We have goals in every area of our life. Are we doing what he asks us to do? Then our prayers will be powerful and effective. Father, I thank you for tonight, Lord. Lord, we desire to be that tree planted by streams of water. That stream is your word, Father. We're nothing without your word. But Lord, it might not be easy, but it is crazy simple. You said in Deuteronomy, today I put before you life and death, blessing and cursing. And he implores us, choose life. I don't know these men. I don't know where they're coming from. But Lord, we all have the same choice. Will we walk in step with you, running our race, eyes down and focused on the cross of Christ who empowers us? Or are we going to look around and live to the level of our culture? That's death, Lord. So I pray that, Father, as men, we would stand up and be counted. That, Lord, the world would know. I love what the Bible says about David in Acts 13:36. David fulfilled the purposes of God in his generation. Lord, this is our generation, Father. David's not here. You've chosen us. Just as you chose David. You've chosen us, Father, to be your ambassadors. And we walk in the power of that truth and be effective. Men of God, in Jesus' name. We're going to open up time of question and answer.
Thanks, Wade. Y'all, Wade know how much you appreciate his heart. We did want to take a few minutes just for some Q&A, and then I have two more things to share before we wrap up this evening, okay? And these aren't questions for me, they're questions for Wade, okay? And so, anybody have a question you'd like to ask Wade?
What's your time in the 400?
Question was, what's your time in the 400?
My best, 50.71. No one over 45, I'm 52. No one over 45 had broken 50. But someone just did it last year, so. I'm late to the game, man. But no, it's a tough race.
Nobody's going to ask about the catch.
Oh, I'll tell you about the catch.
You're talking about the catch.
Hey, they're trying to erase history. We see people all the time trying to tear down stuff, erase history, change history, all that. Who in here has never heard about the Houston Oilers? Anybody? Okay, the Houston Texans now, right? So the Houston Oilers used to be a real team. Okay? And we played the Cowboys in Texas Stadium, which used to be a real stadium. And I caught the game-winning touchdown, and they're trying to erase my history because there's no Oilers in those Texas stadiums. People think I'm looking like, you lying, man. But yeah, come on.
It's a good catch, man. I've seen pictures and video of it. Go try to YouTube that sucker, man. It's a good catch.
YouTube's not even that old.
Yeah. That's awesome. Any other questions?
I've got 3 things for you to consider. I want you to think about intentional effort. What will you intentionally do? What will you intentionally do this year to grow in your faith? One of the greatest things you can do is join a men's group. You might not think, what's that? Just do it. Just do it. Walking with other brothers in Christ sharpens you. So number 1, what will you intentionally do this year to grow in your faith? You should be asking yourself this question. Number 2, what intentionally are you going to do to increase the love relationship with your wife? What are you going to do in your family, or your children? Right now, my goal is to disciple my youngest daughter. So we're memorizing verses. We're on our 3rd verse in a couple of weeks, and so Zephaniah 3:17, and I'm struggling a little bit. Okay, I don't have that one yet, but I'm memorizing verses with my youngest daughter. So that's the one thing I'm trying to do to lead my family this year right now. And then what's the one thing you're going to do intentionally to make an impact in your community? And for me, this is kind of a new thing. I'm trying to dive into men's ministry. I'm trying to help Stan, Brian knows Stan, I'm trying to help Stan lead a group of men in my church. And so that's kind of what I'm doing in my community to try to be more of a light, try to maybe step out and provide some leadership or something. So what are you intentionally going to do? Those are 3 important areas. God's calling you to be those 3 people, right? So what will you intentionally do? So those are 3 questions I would ask you to consider as you're doing this. And the best way to do that is with a group of men. Consider those 3 questions with a group of men.
Amen. Thanks, Wade. Appreciate you, bro. When we wrap up here, just a couple of minutes, I'm sure Wade will be hanging around here for a little bit, so if you want to chat with him, feel free to hang out and chat with him. I love those 3 questions, bro. I love you wrapping it up with that. How will you be intentional? Listen, in a room this size, if the data is correct, okay, there's almost 50 guys. There's 40 or so men in this room struggle with some form of addictive behavior to pornography. That's incredible. So we have 1, maybe 2 groups this fall that's going to be very intentional on walking this out with guys and dealing with this. And so if that's you, I want to encourage and challenge you right now not to let the enemy create excuses that you can't be part of one of those men's groups. Okay? Seth Bridges, if you just raise your hand, are you cool with that? Seth back there is going to be helping lead this journey with a group of guys. Courtney Treadway, who had to take off pretty quick, he's going to be helping lead this journey with a group of guys. Okay? Let me just say, you guys, if this is you, and you're not doing something about this behavior, this addictive behavior in your life, it's going to be almost impossible for you to love your wife as Christ loved this church. If if you're not willing to do business with some of those behaviors. It's going to be almost impossible, guys, if you have a son, to lead your son towards spiritual purity, towards moral purity. I love my son's answer to this question. I ask him regularly. Listen, I hate that my son, who's a junior in high school now, was introduced. He saw his first set of boobs when he was in 7th grade on a bus to a football game, on a phone. How jacked up is that? And so now we have this ongoing dialogue all the time. Are you seeing anything? Are you seeing anything accidentally? Or someone trying to tempt you to look at stuff? That's not pure. I love his answer nowadays. No, Dad. No, Dad. He gets tired of me asking, I'm sure. Why, son? Because I don't want it to ruin my life and my future family. That's his mindset right now. Amen. Because it will. And so if that's something that, man, you need help with, guys, and you need some other guys to come alongside you in this journey, please let me know. I got to have your information. I would love to sit here and say, man, I can read your minds, and I know exactly who it is. I can't do that. So fill that contact card out and just let me know that you need to be in a small group and you need help with this issue. Okay? Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. Okay? We're not going to judge you. Like Wade said, there's no condemnation here for you guys. We want to walk together in this and grow in and through this. Okay? So let us know if you're interested in that. Okay? Secondly, there's those two specific groups, and there's a curriculum, and it's intense. I've looked through the entire curriculum. Courtney loaned me his workbook that had all of his personal notes in it. And that's how transparent this dude is. And he said, I hope you still appreciate me at the end when you're done reading this. Absolutely. It is incredible material and content that will help you along with Scripture and along with other guys. Okay? And then also we just have a lot of other men's groups that are going to be meeting this semester. So Chris Pareda is leading a group. Chris, you raise your hand. Aaron has a men's group. Aaron Armstrong. Y'all know Aaron? You sit right here. Aaron, raise your hand. Make sure everybody still knows you. And he's got a group. And myself and Gary Carlin in the red shirt, we're going to partner. We're going to do some stuff together with some guys. And we have some other guys. Am I missing someone? Who's leading a group? We have several guys that are going to be leading groups. So let us know. We'll get you connected. Okay? I can guarantee you this. As a follower of Jesus, I was not designed to walk out this journey by myself. I just wasn't. I can't. I've got to have some other dudes in my life. Wade, a good friend of yours and a good friend of mine, we've been chatting up a lot this week, and I'm going to hang out with him a little bit this weekend. Larry York, our former pastor, a mentor of mine for many, many years, and love that dude, and just what he shares with me, how he speaks into my life and encourages me. It's priceless. And so we need each other, okay? Last thing I want to share with you is this Sunday, coming up at 8 a.m., not 9 a.m., not 7 a.m., but what time? 8 a.m. In the back parking lot back here, we're going to be serving breakfast for you, okay? So bring your families. It's open to the church. Come on. We're going to have a lot of pancakes. We're going to have plenty of food here. For you to eat, okay? We're going to meet in the back parking lot at 8 o'clock because the whole thing's shaded, okay? Bring chairs, bring your little pop-up tents, bring whatever you need, share your space with others. We're just going to have a time of fellowship. That's it. We're going to eat, we're going to have fellowship together, and we're going to also have communion, right? Is that right? Are we doing that? Okay. Communion around 9 o'clock, and so It's just a time of fellowship, okay, and hanging out together. Hey, listen, thanks for coming tonight. Thanks for supporting men's ministry. Thanks for being part of men's ministry. I'm excited about the upcoming year in men's ministry and even into the spring of 2021 and what we're talking about doing in the spring of 2021 with men's ministry that will look a lot like this right here, meeting on a regular, consistent weekly basis and doing some real specific ministry together as men like this, okay? Be here this Sunday. Come wear your mask. We'll social distance, and we'll make sure that we're caring well for each other, okay? Appreciate you. Love you guys. We're done. Wade already prayed.